Now that I'm sure you've been practicing lots of work on your reed, forming your embouchure, making a good sound with your prepare, set, release, and practicing articulations, we're going to need to talk about how to hold the oboe so that you can put the reed in and make a sound. So your oboe is now fully assembled. You have all three parts lined up and put together, but now we have to figure out, where do your hands go? How do we do it? So what I want to say before we even hold the oboe, I want you to think about making a C and a backwards letter C with your hands. We want our fingers to be nice and rounded as much as is comfortable. And ideally, the gushy kind of pad of your fingers is what's going to cover all these holes. Because you can see on the oboe, they're what we call these tone holes. We have the holes in the keys, and those are going to need to be covered in order for us to actually get a proper sound. So first, we're going to start with your right hand. If you ever lose track, left versus right, if you do this, remember the one when you look down that makes an L is your left. It was a trick that we always used in marching band to remind everybody. So you're going to take your right hand, and we're going to take your right thumb in particular, and you're going to rest it on the thumb rest appropriately on the back of the oboe. I say to do somewhere between your knuckle and your nail. Notice that it's not like we're way over here. And it'll take some work to find the comfortable spot, and it may be a little heavy and honestly may make your thumb a little sore, which is totally normal. For me, I have a little thumb rest. Mine is made by Duo Music. I like it because they make them in fun colors, but you can use pencil grip, you can use whatever is kind of squishy to put on the back there to help with your thumb. From there, you can see there are three big buttons, basically. So that's where we're gonna put our fingers. So first finger is gonna rest here, second here, and third here. Now, know on your oboe, yours may not have a really big hole or even have a hole at all here. And on yours may not have this little spatula on the side, and it may have an indentation like a hole. It will never have an open hole, so you don't have to worry about that. But if yours is like mine and has a hole here and here, you want those fingers to cover it. So see how my fingers are kind of curved, they're not flat. That'll help settle in to cover those holes. So that is your right hand, and that is the primary one that's holding the weight of the oboe. Now your left hand, we're going to take your thumb again and put it behind what we call your octave keys. So the back of the oboe, set it just below. Mine has two, yours might just have one. It's going to rest there. And then again, we have three buttons. So first finger, second finger, third finger. And the hardest finger usually to curve on both cases is your ring finger. And you might notice, even especially on my left hand, it's not quite as curved as my second finger. That's okay. But again, we don't want it flat because that's when holes can get uncovered. And we want to be really gentle with the keys. Now, if you're wondering, what do my pinkies do? You want to keep them floating. You always want proper pinkies. So we're not going to ever hide them back behind the oboe. You're going to keep them out. You can see I keep mine close, that they're not actually pressing on any keys. They're just hovering over them. But if yours are sticking out for right now, that's okay. So that is how you do your hand position for the oboe. Once we put the reed in it, we'll talk about playing position and how your wrist and everything should feel. But that's how your fingers go. So what I would recommend doing then is setting your oboe down, maybe shake your hands out a second, and then try picking it up and covering the keys. And then you can start and hold it more kind of close to what playing position would be so that your wrist feels comfortable. But to keep doing that, and I used to do what I called them fingering push-ups, where I'd be watching TV or doing something else where my mind's elsewhere. There's no reed in my oboe, but I'd sit and just practice, kind of pressing all the keys, letting my pinkies do their thing, just pressing all over, because what it starts to do is build that muscle memory. So your fingers start to know where they're going. Because ideally when we play, we're not going to look down and look at our fingers, because that creates some bad posture. So I would do that. Once you get those fingers covered, have fun taking time, pressing the different keys, hear the fun sounds they make, feel what's going on. You can kind of watch what pops open when you press what key, which is really helpful because then you're gonna know more of how the oboe is set up and how it works. So I would say have fun with that. Keep practicing your embouchure and first sounds on the oboe. And then next we will cover putting that reed in the oboe and finally making some sound and playing first notes.